What is
Okay.
going on, Yankee fans?
All right,
Good
bro.
morning. Welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles. I'm Rob. I'm here with Donald. It is Friday. Got no Bobby Tats here with us, but he'll be back next week. Bobby Tats has got a little things to take care of, but got some New York Yankee stuff to talk about. Obviously, just lost the series to the lowly Chicago White Sox. Severino, absolutely terrible. Want to say what's up to everybody that's showed up in the chat so far. Sunil and Jonathan, what is going on, everybody? Good to see you guys. Donald, let's start. Just overall feelings after that Chicago series. What were you thinking? How bad is it? Is it rock bottom? Can we get any further than rock bottom? Where are we at right now? I think I've lost Donald here.
I don't know what rock bottom is for this team because they just keep finding new rock bottoms. Do you know what I mean? So going with Severino every 5 days is just a guaranteed loss at this point.
Technical difficulties here this morning, everybody. What's up to Spencer? What's up to my dad and Damien, Fortrain? Everybody's here. Donald's got some technical difficulties. Hopefully we can get that sorted out soon. But until then, you got me. And so let's just try to talk about this. We'll go through a therapy session together, I guess, because that's all we got right now. The New York Yankees are an absolute train wreck. Nothing's going right. The team absolutely stinks. And yeah, what's up to Steve? Good morning to everybody. D-Rod, I see everyone popping in here. It's good to see everybody. Donald is back. Hopefully we got this sorted out. You good there, Donald? I guess not. Okay, so it's back to just me. So let's get this therapy session going. I might just put the link in the chat here if anyone wants to pop on here. Mazza, I know you're in there. D-Rod, Steve, anyone who wants to pop in. I might just go ahead and do that right now. Let's get this going. So first, let's start with Severino. Obviously, he's terrible. He's really, 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 really bad. The link is going to be popping up right about now for you guys. So if anyone wants to join in, get into the conversation, please join me because it's just me right now. It's therapy session. Let's just talk about the New York Yankees, whatever comes to mind. So let's get back to Severino. An absolute train wreck. The dude has the worst ERA, I think, in Yankees history right now in terms of number of Mazza. Welcome.
What's up,
Thank
Rob?
you for joining. Good to see you. Thank you for joining the therapy session. How you feeling?
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem. How you feeling, man?
It's another day in Yankees world. I mean, Yankees are sinking faster than the Titanic, and pitching Sevy every fifth day just makes it sink faster.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, what else can be said about Severino at this point? It's been such a disaster. It's such a fall from grace. I've said it before on the show. I don't want to keep saying it, but he's turned into a what if, a guy that had so much potential, a guy that had a chance to be one of the better pitchers in the team's history. I don't want to say the best, but one of the better pitchers in the team's history. And to see him pitch the way he has this year, whether it's injuries or just he's tipping pitches or whatever, it's such a fall from grace. But the fact that the Yankees continue to use him over and over, knowing how bad he is, and their only way of trying to change it was let's just pitch him in the second after using Hamilton in the first, like that was going to change anything. Like, have they not learned their lesson in the past with that? Like the guy they just DFA'd, like was that was his one storyline was they used him as an opener in a playoff game, David Garcia, and now they're trying it with Sevy in hopes that him not pitching the first is going to fix anything. It hasn't fixed anything. Do we DFA him? Do we shut him down for the season? What would you do with Sevy?
At this point, there's no saving grace for Sevy. I mean, we have given him time and time chances, but we also can't forget that injuries have also derailed his career, which not an excuse for how we pitch, but it's part of the reason. So we lost Ryder for a second. I don't think probably DFAing him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they DFA him. I don't know if you shut him down if there's a phantom injury they can come up with. But it's rough. It's really rough out there, and looks like I don't know what is going on today. Some technical difficulties. Yeah, I don't know. Is it? I don't know if it's on my part. I hope it's not on my part. But if anyone else wants to try to join, if it keeps happening like that, maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'll let you guys take over the show if anyone else wants to join us. But it's getting rough. D-Rod, let me know if it's coming choppy on both ends, because then if that's the case, we'll just have to take a rain check on the show. But there's been a lot of conversations with the kids here. The Mazda's back. Let's get the other Mazda out of there. All right. We had two Mazdas for a second. Mazda, we doing better now?
Yes, we are doing much better.
All right. So let's try to get back on track here, unlike the Yankees. What do you think about the conversation about the kids? Because we're hearing a lot of chatter. Pereira, we want to see him. Wells, we want to see him. Vasquez, we know, is getting called up for the game today. Should the Yankees just use this time as kind of like their, I guess, de facto trade deadline and just call up the kids now, get some of this dead weight off the team and just roll with it the rest of the way through? Or are they going to continue to just give us the same garbage that they've been giving us and tell us that everything's okay? What would you do as the leader, as the owner of the New York Yankees? What would you do?
At this point, I would just call I would call up the kids, let them play, scrap this year, because as we know, this year's a lost cause to begin with. I mean, there's nothing else we can really say about this year except for the fact that this year's been a train wreck. We know it. You've said it. Donald has said it. Tats has said it. This year is a train wreck. Let the kids come up. Let the kids play. And then try to do what you can to fix the problems that you had, which you still refuse to fix, and fix them next year.
Yeah, I would do the exact same thing. Get the kids up here. And speaking of people, let's get D-Rod in here. D-Rod, good to see you.
Mr. Magic,
exact same thing. Get the kids up here. I'm here to echo myself. I'm doing good, man. How you feeling? Thank you for joining us.
I come over and give you a hand here because it's, everything's falling apart a little bit, and that's life. That's life in the 21st century.
It is. It's technology, man. Bobby Tats leaves one day, and everything just kind of.
I'm telling you. I mean, you can't do anything without that guy.
Yeah, he keeps everything together. He's the glue that keeps it all together. Let's try to.
He's the stir. He's the stir. Yeah, he's the straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah, that's him. Donald, are we back?
Donald, how are you, pal?
I don't think we got him, D-Rod. I don't think we got him.
That's all right.
We tried.
He's trying. It's okay. It's all right. What are you going to do?
This stream actually is going as well as the Yankee season, if you think about it.
If not better.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's going off the rails. So we were talking prospects. D-Rod, we got Maz's opinion. We all know my opinion. D-Rod, what do you think? Should we just go Pereira, Peraza, Wells, Vasquez, maybe even Florial when he's healthy? Would you get all these guys up and just do it now?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, well, the thing is that there's that service time manipulation, which I'm sure between now and Labor Day, Judge will be out, Stanton will break 5 legs, and everything, and then all the Rizzo's, we're not going to see him anymore. So at some point, I think the Yankees will finally capitulate and say, listen, this is it. This is what we got to do. It will happen. It's just not going to happen today. And I think at some point we have to, as Yankee fans, so that because all the other teams fans and the teams they look at us as whiny baby, always complaining about everything. We're whiny Yankee fans. Well, okay, instead of whining about what's wrong, maybe we could focus on what the solutions are. And like you said, part of the solution is bringing up the young guys, and doing that. That's really what else can we do? If the Mets could do the same thing if they had any good prospects, so a little knock at them because they've got two good prospects and they don't use them, and they're in worse shape than we are. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's, what else can we do? We can nitpick and say, listen, it's this, it's that. We know that the owner is a knucklehead. He's checked out. Brian Cashman is the Pope, right? It's the Pope and Supreme Court justices are the only people that have had their job longer than Cashman. So, what else can we do? There's nothing. I mean, we have to deal with it. We can complain all day long, and will anything change? I don't know. So I guess maybe look at the positive, right? And that's like Michael said, bringing the kids back up and doing something, or bringing them up, not back up, but bringing them up in the first place.
Yeah,
I don't know. What else can we do?
But
right.
the thing is, you got to play the kids when they come up. You can't just call them up and have them sit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Peraza looks like he's Andujar 2.0, and Florial 3.0, so it's, I don't understand. I mean, I guess that's the one thing that we can sort of question is why do they do this? Is McKinney going to be the answer the long term? Is Bowers going to be the answer long term?
No, I don't think any of them are going to be the answer long term, but I want to welcome in a couple of people here. We got Jonathan joining. Jonathan, thank you for joining us.
And, what's up, bro?
I'm pretty sure this is Sunil coming in here, but Booney Yoga.
But Jonathan, you're not driving, right? You're parked.
I'm parked.
All right.
He's parked. All right. So, Jonathan, since we got you in here first, just overall thoughts about the team. Would you call up the kids like we've all been saying?
I would call up Pereira for left field, and I would have done it after the All-Star break, honestly.
Yeah.
But,
Sunil, you doing some yoga over there, Booney Yoga?
I don't have a very long time to talk.
Sunil, do you have pants on?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. All right, Jonathan, since you said you don't have too much time, I'll give you the floor here. Just if you want to rant, if you want to say anything, go for it. Just say what you got to say.
I've said it for the past couple of months now. I don't think the Yankees can do anything as long as Boone is the manager, because he's not a strong. He doesn't. He's basically a yes man. He doesn't manage the team. He takes orders from the owner. What kind of manager have you ever seen a manager as similar to Boone, who doesn't really do anything except and when he does something, it's basically too late in the game. It's like talk back to an umpire when he makes the wrong call. I mean, I think in the last game there was, or a couple games, he took until about 5 or 6 batters when was it the last Diaz when he was calling all those strikes in outside. I don't know, but he was not standing up for the team. He was just going along, and that game was probably the worst game umpire that I have ever seen.
It was really, really bad, and the whole Boone going off on him, and it's become the meme, his strikeout pose and all that stuff.
I would prefer Joe Torre over Boone at that point, and Joe Torre never really went into an umpire's face. He was. When I remember Joe Torre, I remember it would be like him talking to an umpire as if he was meeting him at a bar. Not very, very like a friendly pose or like an in your face pose, but not yelling.
Right.
He was probably speaking to the umpires in Italian for all I care. I don't know.
I'll be right back.
Does Boone speak Italian? I wish we could know exactly what he was saying word for word, but at this point, it's just become like a show. You know, he's not really saying much. He's gotten injected 6-7 times this year.
I don't know why Pereira is not up in left field right now. I don't.
No, he should be. He should be in left field. I'd get Florial when he's healthy in center. I've seen enough of Harrison Bader. We know what he is. I doubt he's back. You could have Bowers or Judge and Stanton play right for. Or you could put Florial in right.
it seems like the Bader gets hurt as often as Mickey Mantle did, and he's not drunk.
For all we know. We don't really know what else is going on. But, I mean,
and he's a fraction of the player that Mantle was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, I'm not. I'm just comparing him. His injury was not the
Right. No, understood. Right. And the thing is that, but it's one thing if you get hurt as much as Mickey, but he produced and look at all he did. So it's you can sort of it's a bitter pill to swallow, but you swallow it.
Wow.
But with Bader, considering that he's a fraction of the player and he gets hurt just as much,
That's saying something.
Yeah,
I'm sure if Mickey averaged 130 games a year, he probably would have broken Babe Ruth's record.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the worst team that we've seen in a long time. I can't remember the last time we've seen a team like this with the Yankees.
It was probably 1990 when they finished in last place.
65 and 97.
But even still, the Yankees need something drastic to happen. Whether
they need a new manager, they need a new general manager.
Yeah,
two words.
Changes are not going to be made unless something drastic happens. So whether
2 words. Fire Cashman already.
Well, the only way I think anyone's getting fired is
well, already was a bonus.
They have to miss the playoff.
Well, listen. This is if you read Joel Sherman's article a week ago. This was a culmination of years. This didn't happen because of last offseason. This happened because of the last offseason, the one before that, from 2018 on, the last 4 or 5 years. This has been, it's
the 17-18 offseason, right when Girardi left. Exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the first mistake, not bringing him back, or not maybe giving him a 2-year deal, maybe, and seeing how it goes. Considering that he went to to Game 7 of the ALCS, which Boone hasn't come close to. So I mean, but it's Cashman and his moves, bringing in Stanton and all these other guys, as opposed to of course everyone focuses on Harper, maybe Machado. I think Schwarber would have been the perfect lefty replacement in lieu of Stanton, because they're the same player. And I mentioned that before. And he's cheaper, younger, shitty defense, strikes out a lot, and low average. But which is exactly what Stanton's given you at a fraction of the price. And he's left-handed.
Another question: do you think getting rid of Girardi destroyed Yankees' career? Gary Sanchez.
Oh,
it did. It did help.
Karen Sanchez definitely helped. I call him Karen purposely because he's an entitled little bitch.
Jesus.
I don't understand.
Well, listen, Gary Sanchez reminds me of Lenny from Of Mice and Men, right? Tell me about the Rabbits. Like, you see him when he gets 3 pass balls going through his leg in 1 inning, the smoke comes right out. And that's the nerds. The nerds, he just doesn't have the IQ for all this nerdy input. It just never worked. And you can kind of see Stanton's the same way. You look at Stanton's see the ball, hit the ball. You tell him anything more, and it's talking to cardboard.
Anyway,
You know what,
Rob, I have to get going. So thank you for allowing me to join, and I'll see you next time.
See you, John.
Take care, John.
All right, Jonathan, thank you for popping in. I mean, we could go on, and we've done this a lot on this show about complaining about the ownership, and we know the manager, and the manager's bad, the GM's bad, the analytics team is bad, but this team has a chance right now to kind of not even necessarily wave the white flag, because the saying that everyone, and it's not like, oh, this one channel saying it or this guy's saying it first, but everyone is, as a collective fan base, is saying it can't get any worse. So by replacing McKinney or Allen on the roster with Pereira and getting rid of 2 of those guys, actually, and getting Peraza up here and playing him every day, how can it get worse than what it already is? You're struggling to score runs against the Chicago White Sox, who have given up on the season since May. They've been done since the 2nd month of the year. They were the first team that was out of like the teams we knew were going to be really bad. They had expectations going into the year, and within first 2 months, everyone's like, they're going to be sellers. We were hearing Dylan Cease's name in May about a trade piece. You knew they weren't going to be good, and we've lost both series to them now. We have not won a series since July. We have one series win since July.
Yep.
And that's not good. And the only 2 series that you look at the way we played against the Royals and the Athletics. If we were like 500 against those teams, we'd be below 500 right now. Those two teams, the worst two teams in baseball, are keeping us above 500. So at what point does the management team, the ownership group, just say it's not working? Let's use the final 40 some odd games as just a reset. Let's get our guys up here. Let's see what we can get from Pereira. Let's see what we can get from Peraza, and hope that it just turns into something good, because they're throwing Severino out there every fifth day, whether it's as a starter or as a second inning relief pitcher, and it's not working. And they keep saying, we got to get him right. You've had 2 months to get him right, and he hasn't been right. So what can they possibly do? And I'm going to ask this question to Damien, who's joining us now. Damien, you're the GM.
Damien.
Morning, fellas.
What's up,
the
Damien?
Hey, what's going on?
Let's hear your thoughts. Do you want to just call it a soft reset, hard reset, completely blow it up, get the kids up here, right? Do you share our same thought process?
Absolutely. Kids got to come up. You can't. The worst part is the Arizona Diamondbacks wanted Sevy. We had a chance to not have him on this roster anymore and actually get something back for him. Now, obviously, it wouldn't have been something great, probably somebody in single A, but at the end of the day, we had an opportunity to have Sevy move on, and we kept him, and we've lost games because of it. It's terrible. We need to start all over again. And the worst part is next season, it's going to be the same thing, because the free agent market's not great next season, guys. So next season, we're going to have to rely on the kids, and they might as well bring them up now, because get their feet wet, because next season they're going to be there, because there's nothing in the offseason to bring in. We're not going after we're not going to go after Ohtani. That's not going to happen. And if you look at the free agent market, it's kind of like the trade market. There's nothing really there. So this is what we have to deal with. And to hear what Hal not really even wanting the team in the first place, it's kind of heartbreaking to even hear. He's kind of always seen it. We've kind of always seen it and know it, but to actually hear it and to get clarity on that, it really sucks. Really kind of pisses me off. Bad move after bad move. You kind of look at Rodon. Rodon makes exactly what Freddie Freeman makes. Exactly, to the T. The contract to the T. And yet, we passed on Freeman. We went with Rizzo. Somebody who, don't get me wrong, I love Rizzo, but he's not Freddie Freeman. And then we took on $50 million of Josh Donaldson on top of it.
That Josh Donaldson contract continues to haunt us to this day. I mean, you think about it, they didn't have to make that. And I've said this on the show plenty of times. They could have used that lockout season as a excuse to run it back from the previous year, and it would have been just as good of a team as 2022. Yeah. We would have probably had 100 plus wins.
Yeah, COVID season.
No, it wasn't the COVID season. It was the year 2000, the 22 season. There was before the year it was the lockout.
Oh, 22. Yeah, that's right.
And we came back from the lockout. The only move they made was getting Donaldson and IKF. All they had to do was just put Gio at short and DJ at third. We would have had the exact same record, probably even better, because we wouldn't have to worry about Donaldson. And you think about the money we would have had now to sign an actual left fielder in the offseason when we could have. And I don't even want to go back to the whole Stanton thing or the Harper miss or the Machado miss, but you think about just 1 year ago, a move that they never had to make, an upgrade at third that they never needed, is handicapping us, because the team's trying to save pennies on the dollar every single year at the deadline. We don't want to go over the budget. Then stop paying for players that you don't need to be paying that kind of money to. Josh Donaldson should have never been a Yankee. And in fact, they took all $50 million of his contract just to get IKF and just to get rid of Gary Sanchez. That, to me, is Brian Cashman's worst move. The worst move he's ever made.
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%.
Yeah, Sunil.
They should have never given up Gio Urshela in that deal. I knew that their motive was to get rid of Gary Sanchez, and I completely get that. To add Gio Urshela to that deal was the biggest goddamn sin ever. I mean, that guy played the best hot corner I've seen since Nettles, and this is no disrespect to A-Rod either, who moved from shortstop to third. I mean, you see those acrobatic throws where he's going off the foul line, the third base foul line, and everything, making them the first. I mean, that shit's just unreal. That's what you give up to get this piece of shit.
Well, listen, if I could, Rob, I get what you're saying. Let's not harp on, the Donaldson. I mean, which it's bad, and we just did, and the Stanton move, right? But right now, the biggest albatross on this team is the Stanton contract. Him
Yes.
Yeah.
just taking up a roster spot. Secondly, the money and the roster spot 1A and 1B. So, do you have in the all season? Do you have to as the GM? Do you have to sit down with Stanton and his representation and say, listen, you've got 4 years left, X whatever, 100 million, 200, whatever the number is. Listen, you're not helping the team. You're not helping yourself. Do you want to be on crutches by the time you're 45? What do you want to do? Let me offer you 70 cents on the dollar, take the money and have a nice day. You're helping the team out more doing that than anything else. I mean, or something just to be creative in some way, just buy the contract out. Unless the guy says, right, and he probably gonna say, he's gonna say, no, what? I want 100%. And then if he wants to be a hard ass and say, I want all the money, say, okay, you're gonna be our starting right fielder, and by May 1st, you're gonna be in the hospital.
Hal won't
Rob,
eat that money.
I have to dip out.
All right, no problem,
thanks
man.
for having me on, and I will catch you guys next time.
All right, thanks
All right,
for coming
Mazza.
on, man.
Take care,
No
Mazza.
problem. Later.
Yeah, I don't think Hal's gonna eat that money. There's no way.
Nope.
Hal won't eat that money. He
But
won't.
you're not getting any performance. But what performance are you getting from that money? You're getting 20
let's
cents
put
on the dollar performance.
I
from
agree.
the contract. Right.
Oh, listen,
So then-
I
so
agree
they
with
eat
you.
it. Yeah.
I
know,
agree
I'm
with you.
with
But
you.
listen, Hal's not gonna eat that money because Hal's not gonna eat Brian Cashman. If he won't eat Brian Cashman, he ain't gonna eat Giancarlo Stanton. And as much as we all want that to happen, and I agree with you 1,000%,
Right.
but he's not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I mean, they even said it on K's show yesterday. They brought the guy on, the reporter Bill, I forget his last name, but they brought him on, yeah, and they brought him on. And they said, if Cashman didn't have, 3 years left on his deal, there may be a discussion. But Hal's not the type of person that's going to pay somebody to sit at home. So, and if he's not going to do it for $6 million with Cashman, he ain't going to do it with Stan, unfortunately. Now,
Well,
2 years down the line, maybe. But now, I doubt it.
Didn't he do it already with Ellsbury? And then this year he made that whole phantom injury thing for Donaldson. Didn't he do it twice
Donaldson's
already?
last year. Donaldson's
Yeah,
last year. He's got
Yeah,
9 months
and
left. Stan's
Ellsbury
got
was
4, yeah.
Yeah, and they treated Ellsbury like a ghost, essentially. We
Yeah,
still don't know what
exactly.
happened with that insurance money thing. There was a whole fiasco. But I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone that's been in the chat. I'm not trying to ignore anybody. It's been going off like crazy. Trying to get all the comments up here would be difficult, but I do want to just give a shout out to the entire chat. And I do want to bring in Spencer onto the stream because he just popped in.
Hey,
so Spencer, thank you for joining us. I'll ask you a question that I've been asking everybody that's popped in here on this impromptu open panel.
Sure.
You calling up the kids or no?
Oh yeah.
Myself, no. I'm not doing it just yet. Looking at the tenor of the season, they're still close to a wild card. There's still the possibility, and I want to stress that word, possibility. That they could start, getting some hitting fever and start playing some good baseball. So there is still something to play for. Now that doesn't mean that I really believe that that's going to happen. I guess what I'm more or less saying is that I can see that that's what the Yankees' point of view is as far as whether or not to call up the younger players. So that's where I stand on that. And I know it's a different opinion. I forgive me. I'm just jumping in with you guys. I had some non-Yankee matters to take care of, so I am just jumping in. But I have a feeling that the majority of people want to see the younger players come up, which I understand also. It's not wrong. It's just that my position is that I'm okay with what we got for now. I feel like if you bring the younger players in, you're really waving a white flag.
Well, the only hitting fever these guys have is hitting into double plays to kill rallies with the bases loaded and less than 2 outs.
Well, the performance has not been. It's been very underwhelming. It's a very underwhelming season so far. If they were like 8 games back of a wild card, if they were under 500, yeah, absolutely. You bring in some younger players, but The decision to do that is really a function of the position of where they are in the playoff race, and they are in a playoff race. We don't like it. I will tell you, I don't think that they are even going to make a wild card. I don't think it's going to happen. The big thing for me is that they keep losing against the worst teams in the league. Chicago, the Cubs, not the Cubs, but the White Sox just recently, the Cardinals. They have not capitalized on these series against the worst teams in the league.
Nope.
And the good teams will capitalize on those teams. The Yankees have not. So I am not feeling that there's going to be October baseball this year,
Oh,
unfortunately.
hell no. There's not even a shot.
This stretch right now, the Marlins and Braves, the shovel's being put in the grave. Period. It's done.
Yeah.
Marlins, great, and the Braves. After this road trip, it's over. White flag should be waved right now. Even if they squeak into the wild card, which I highly doubt, they're not going any further than that. And
So
you're risking Aaron Judge's health on the first year of an 8-year deal.
9 year.
For what? For a 9-year deal for what? To squeak into a wild card? That's your franchise, is Aaron Judge. And by continuing to roll him out, you are putting him at risk of further injury.
Yes.
And I don't know about you guys, but paying somebody $40 million a year for the next 8 years and risking his health, if we're complaining about Giancarlo Stanton, will be 10 times worse with Judge. And I'm not doing that at all. No way possible.
No, I completely agree. And now we've been seeing the date August 18th. I think that's where like the service time manipulation really comes into effect. So is that kind of like the day where if the Yankees are, let's say they're still 5 out of it, or maybe they're 6 or 7, because from what is it, August 11th right now? So you got a week, and we know the teams we have to play. Damien just mentioned it. Let's say we're 6 or 7 out of it. Is that the day where they wave that proverbial white flag and just say, okay, Judge is going to get shut down. We can't risk it. Rizzo might as well shut him down as well, because you're playing with the head injury. That's even worse than a toe.
Yeah.
You never want to play with anything with a concussion. And you just roll with the young kids there, and you let DJ play first, and you have a spot opened up for Peraza at third, and you get Pereira here. You get Florial to play as much as possible, Vasquez, Brito, whatever it may be. And you just go with the kids and see what you have, because like you mentioned earlier, the free agency class next year isn't that good. The Yankees are going to go make this huge splash. Maybe a Matt Chapman. We're hearing a lot about the guy from Korea, Lee, but I doubt they're going to is he Korean? I think he's Korean, but
yeah,
I don't think they're going to go after him, because a lot of teams are going to want him. San Diego could want him. Seattle could want him. We know Boston just spent big to get Yoshida, so they could try to get him. The Mets are always in on the international market.
Absolutely.
The Yankees are going to have a lot of competition with him. So is August 18th that hard day that if they're 5 or 6 out of it, is that where they just get that white flag and wave it, or do they still go ahead and push forward with, hey, we got to turn that corner, because eventually you got to stop trying to turn the corner and just say, look, enough is enough, and you got to give up and move forward to next year.
I absolutely agree with that, Rob. That's a bird of a different feather, and that's a different set of factors, because you're talking about, further into the season. You're talking about a situation where the Yankees are further back from the wild card. So yeah, I can see something like that happening. Plus, you just factor in, what we've seen so far, into the baseball season, into August. At some point, you have to acknowledge the edict, from Bill Parcells. You are what your record says you are. So I definitely see that, and I would be okay with that.
I could see Cashman using the laws of physics of a snapshot. They're going further and further and further back. That's basically like potential energy is the energy of storage. And once we get going, I could see him thinking that way too, but it's not logical at any level when you think about it. It's completely irrelevant, if anything.
The organization is a complete dysfunction right now. It's dysfunctional.
And this whole thing,
dysfunctional. It's dysfunctional.
Exactly, I agree, Damien. And this whole thing about Hal kicking and screaming, not wanting to own the team. Well, then sell the team, damn it. If you really don't care, then fucking sell.
That or give it to your sister, because clearly the sister probably has more balls than he does. So
Oh, yeah.
man,
Yeah, I
D-Rod,
mean,
what do you think? Do you think August 18th 's that day that they just say screw it and go with the kids, or even if they gain a game, they're still 4 games back. We're still chasing 2 or 3 teams for that third spot. Like,
We're not
if
gonna
it's
get
all
it.
about
No,
service
we're out.
time,
Listen, I admire Spencer's positivity, his outlook there, but further down the road is next week. So August 18th, right? And I think I mentioned it when I first came on that
Yeah.
it's by Labor Day. By Labor Day, everyone's going to be anyone over 30 is going to be on the IL, whether they need to or not. And it's Labor Day, and it's a few weeks away, And by the 18th through Labor Day, they'll bring up one kid at a time, let them play, let them do this if they're smart. I can understand not bringing 5 guys up at once, but bringing guys up, slowly but surely, bringing them up, because in this next week they've got 6 games, I think, with the Marlins and the Braves. They've got to win minimum 4, and I think they need to win more than that, which then, of course, we all know they're not going to do. So I think and I understand Spencer. Hey, it's further down the line. It's a week from now.
Well, here's my rebuttal to that. In baseball, a lot can happen in a week, and we know that. But the scenario presented
Look what just happened last week.
Like 6 games out or 8 games out. That's a bird of a different feather from being 3 games out to 4 games out. If you're like 6 games out at that point, and if August 18th, I'm with you guys. I say, okay, let's start waving the white flag at that point. The only thing, getting back to what Damian said before, as far as we shouldn't, whether or not it's worthy enough to get to a wild card. I myself say, if we get to a wild card, go for the wild card, because it's not with the presumption that, okay, if this season is a bag, well, we just go to the playoffs in 2024. We don't know if that's going to happen. My concern is that if we don't get into the playoffs this year, that could set off a domino effect, not only for next year, but for the year after. It will be tough to recover from not making the playoffs, after one single year. One single year can make a big difference. And if you go back to, 2013 and 2014, I think the Yankees were very fortunate when they just grabbed the wild card in 2015. So that's why I'd be concerned about missing the playoffs altogether. I'm not even saying, Damian, that your position is wrong. There's nothing. But just looking at it from a different view, I myself tremble at the thought of not making the playoffs.
And Spencer, you touched on a point that was running through my head just now. I want to bring up the similitude here. The last time the Yankees went to an ALCS and got swept was the same year Derek Jeter got that leg injury in Game 2 of the ALCS. So we're running on that same trajectory again. This isn't even talking about 2016 anymore. It's talking about post 2012 and beyond, a decade ago. Exactly.
Well, that 2012,
okay.
so
yeah,
underprepared for that playoff. Also, they were an older team. I think when Derek broke his leg, that was just sort of the icing on the cake. But we knew they weren't far. Yeah.
But when we're talking about domino effects, what's going on right now is the domino effect of Brian Cashman over the last 10 years, since 2009. This is a domino effect of what he's created from bad move after bad move. Again, his analytics completely took over, and this is where we're at. So now you see them slowly bringing back some old school baseball minds, slowly but surely. But analytics and Brian Cashman has crippled this organization. Listen, I've been watching the Yankees since my uncle was an electrician in Yankee Stadium. I remember Kevin Moss, all those guys. And this is the first time that, as a Yankee fan, I'm embarrassed. I can genuinely say I'm embarrassed of my Yankees, this organization. I wear this hat because I go down with the ship no matter what. But I'm embarrassed. And it bothers me. It truly bothers me. It pisses me off to see how Steinbrenner is going to be the Steinbrenner that broke the Yankees. And how, in my mind, how can you sit there and take the fact you were the Steinbrenner that wrecked it? Not George, not Hank, but you, Hal. You wrecked it.
I mean, yeah, and you think about him just letting Cashman do the things he's done, and you said it, you go back to 2009 after you won a World Series. What did you do? You let Damon walk. Okay, he was getting older. I understand that. You had Gardner, but But then you traded Melky Cabrera for Javier Vasquez again. You replaced Hideki Matsui with Nick Johnson again. Two guys that you knew 5 years prior were bad, but they made smaller strides elsewhere, and you said, let's bring them back. That was your answer. You passed up on Cliff Lee because you thought that Eduardo Nunez was the future at shortstop. You passed up on Cliff Lee multiple times. You passed up on so many different starting pitchers and all that stuff. And the constant trades and the old roster, like 2012's roster was just a disaster. The fact that we got to the ALCS was a surprise in my opinion. But you think about it, like we knew 2013 was bad, but the expectations were low because the team just didn't look good. We were like, if we make the playoffs, it'd be shocking. The expectations this year were World Series. Like they told us that's the goal here. You don't sign Aaron Judge to the deal you did. You don't have Cole. You don't have Rodon come in and join this rotation. You don't push this narrative. This is the championship caliber organization or operation and tell us that you're just pushing for a playoff spot. No, we want to win. That's why this season's so disappointing. So, Damian, I'm in complete agreement with you. I'm embarrassed of this team. And you think about everything that's happened to this point with Donaldson, who's on the 6-day IL, taking grounders at second base, first of all. Again, he's on the IL, but he's taking grounders. It looks good, but he's on the IL for another, month. You have the Herman issue. You have the issue with Anthony Rizzo and his head. And you just have so many different things that have happened with this team, and it's embarrassing. It looks dysfunctional, and they keep trying to tell us that everything's okay. And as a fan, you're kind of looking at I've been watching this team too long. Everyone here has been watching this team too long. We know that everything is not okay, and every day more and more information is starting to leak out about how just crazy things are going and dysfunctional it is. How can we not be embarrassed about it, right?
I think
it reminds me.
Rob, fueled by the Yankees, over the years, they've learned, or at least they've decided, what to say in the press and what not to say in the press. I don't know if, fans know it, but they actually have in spring training and for the newer players, they actually have them set aside and sit in classrooms on how to talk to the press. Yeah. Like if you win a game, you say, yeah, we won the game. And if you lose a game, you say, well, I wasn't so good. Everything is very structured. And I think it's just gotten too structured. And I think when you corner yourself as to what you're going to limit yourself to today, then problems like this happen. Fans like us, we have these discussions, and what you're getting at is that we don't really know what's going on. The Yankees are not being transparent with us. Now, this probably happens with other teams also, but we're focused on the Yankees. We're focused on our house. And
can I say? Oh, go ahead.
On themselves by not saying too much.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there's two things on that. First of all, Spencer, I wanted to say to you before, I think this is the perfect week to play the Marlins, who are, I think, a good team. I think they may be in the wild card and the best team in baseball, right? It's the perfect week to do this, because then at the end of these games, what happens? It's August 18th, and then the kids can slowly come up. And because the Yankees most likely will go 2-4 instead of 4, which they should, instead of 4
1 and 5.
Yeah. Okay. Well, well, that's fantastic. But what else could it be, right? And really, and the thing that I think Sunil would try right on. 2-4 is being optimistic.
D-Rod, what would you say if I said they get swept 0-6?
Would anyone be surprised about that?
No, not at all.
Right? At this point, right? And that's, again, more fuel to add to bring up the kids, right? And the other thing, Spencer, about about talking about having structure and talking to people, look at the White Sox. That's a team with no structure. I'd rather be the Yankees than the White Sox right now.
Well, the Yankees and the White Sox are practically the same thing now.
What's that?
The Yankees and the White Sox are practically the same thing now. One pretends to have structure. The other one absolutely has no structure. I mean, there's a common denominator here.
Dysfunction between those two organizations are almost neck and neck.
Exactly.
The Yankees kind of remind me of the Red Sox when they had Josh Beckett drinking in the dugout, fried chicken. That's what it reminds me of. And just think about when we heard that. How do we react to the Red Sox organization? We laughed. It was a laughing stock of baseball. Now we're that, and that pisses me off. That's what gets me mad.
I hear what you're saying.
Oh, I know.
The White Sox are way more of a laughing stock. The guys just got knocked out. They're having fights. No one cares. You know,
I
they
agree.
are, Sunil, I get your point. We're not doing that great either. Right now the Red Sox, too many Sox here. The Red Sox have the same record we do. They're on the up, right?
I agree.
So no one's killing the Red Sox, even though they have pretty much the same record we do, right? Because they're going on the way up. Right? When we play them next week or the week after, they're a more hungry team. They look like they're on the way up. They want to play hard. We look like, maybe that's to your point about structure, that no one gives a shit and that everyone's just kind of, going through the motions. And that could be true. But the White Sox have nothing.
No, I agree. I agree. The
three
difference
things.
is the emblem on this hat. Because when everybody thinks of baseball, they think of one team. Internationally, no matter where you're at, Europe, Asia, it doesn't matter. When you think of baseball, you think of one organization only, and that's the New York Yankees. Just like football. When you think of one football organization, you think of one organization. If you're not familiar with the sport, you think of the Cowboys. The Yankees, and I'm not because I'm a Yankee fan, but when you think of baseball, it's the Yankees. When you go anywhere in the world, you see this. You don't see Dodgers, you don't see Red Sox, you see this. Whether you're in Asia, whether you're in Europe, whether you're not, it doesn't matter where you're at, you see this.
Yeah.
And for them to have that dysfunction right now, it breaks my heart. It hurts me. And then you got Aaron Boone. Unfortunately, at the end of the year, Aaron Boone's going to get fired. He's going to be a scapegoat. And then you still got Brian Cashman sitting there, who built it all.
I got four things I want to get off my chest.
Hey, Sunil, really quick before you do that, I want to say, everybody, have a great day. I got to go. Okay. Rob, I appreciate the invite. Everybody, take care. Be safe.
All right, Damon. Thanks for popping on, man.
Safe, sir.
Thanks, guys. Be safe.
So let me get off four things here. One, what he said about Brian Cashman and the managers. Brian Cashman has been the GM since 1998. Torrey was egregiously let go in 2007 before we brought on Girardi. He still stayed on. Girardi had his decade. He almost got the 2017 team to the World Series. One game away. What happens? He's let go. Booney's brought on. Booney is as dysfunctional as a puppet from the Muppets Take Manhattan as manager. And we have words that Cashman is still able to stay. Booney is going to take the brunt of it. How is this even a symbolism of functionality on a team? That's first. Second, I made a projection that the Yankees would go 66-96 at the end of this year. That would be the worst record since 1990 when they went 65-97. I'm going to upgrade that slightly just to say, and it's still sub 500. They're probably not going to be better than a 70-game winning team, 70 to 75 games. 75 games puts them at 75-87. 70 is basically 70-92. It's somewhere in that range where I've got this projection going, whether they bring the kids up or not.
I'm going to respond to that. I'm just going to say I lived through the 1990 team. This team, as underwhelming as they are, they're not that bad.
Well, they may not be. They may not be that bad, but they
that was an unwatchable, unpleasant team, and I hope to God it's a long time before any of you guys and any of future fans ever go through a season like that. That is just
I lived through that season then too. I know exactly what you're talking about. They had to make trades like Ricky Henderson and God knows what to the A's and all these miserable things at the deadline. I remember all of that. It was pitiful times, to say the least. The third thing, this 2023 Yankee team lived through the Dylan Lawson effect for far too long. I mean, you've heard Aaron Judge basically say he's got his own batting coach separately because he doesn't believe in jack shit of what Dylan Lawson is saying to the rest of the team.
Dylan Lawson was only there for half a season.
Yeah, I know, but he was there through. He was there through the entire season last year too.
Was he? I thought it was the Marcus Thames. He was there? Wasn't it Marcus Thames there last year?
No, Marcus Thames was 2021.
Was it 21? Okay. All right.
Yeah. So Dylan Lawson was a year and a half.
And that is too long.
Yeah. And Dylan Lawson, let me put an analogy in front of you guys for Dylan Lawson. He's basically, if you guys watched NBA at all, and if you've seen Dallas Mavericks post game conference, you've seen Jason Kidd basically say, "We don't care about the 82 games. We just want to make the playoffs." Idiot! You've got to win some. You've got to win a significant chunk to get into the top 8 bracket, to get to the playoffs in the first place. How the fuck do you not care about the 82 in the regular season? That's the same shit you heard out of Dylan Lawson. That's the same type of bullshit Dylan Lawson has been spewing out the entire time. I don't care about the batting averages. I want the launch angles and I want the exit velos. Then damn it, go get a Playboy book. You'll get great launch angles from that.
I don't know if we completely pointed out to Dylan Lawson. First of all, we really don't know what his impact is supposed to be, and we really don't know what the function of the hitting coach is supposed to be. I mean, one thing that we know that the hitting coach can't do is they cannot guarantee success at the plate, because we got rid of Dylan Lawson, but they haven't hit much better with Sean Casey.
No,
so because the damage is too ingrained up here from the Dylan Lawson effect, that they're having a lot of hardship just trying to grasp what the reality should be that Sean Casey's trying to impart. And even then, I'm sure with the management that exists in the front office, even Sean Casey's ability to impart knowledge up here is a bit impaired, because this front office is too damn dysfunctional at every level.
Well, you have to unlearn something before you can learn something new.
Exactly, I agree.
Right. Yeah,
but
so, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You are starting to see, it's very small and it's slowly coming into effect, but you are seeing what Sean Casey is trying to instill, which is patience, because the Yankees, while they have left literal countries on the base paths over the last week, they are drawing walks at a rate that they were not drawing earlier in the season.
And that's a good predecessor to my fourth point. Even New York State interstates like the Long Island Expressway and the Cross Bronx aren't jealous of the traffic Yankees left on the base paths. They probably look good in front of the Yankee traffic over there.
So Neil, I want you to know, I am willing to come out and pay the $50 cover fee and the 2-drink minimum at your Tuesday night show. You're good, man. I will pay the cover fee and the 2-drink minimum for that kind
Tuesday night cover show. What show are you talking about?
The show, because you're a stand-up comedian, is what he's saying.
He's so funny, he doesn't even get the joke. He's giving you a compliment, Sunil.
Rob, you got to understand, when somebody's too frustrated, the clouds run very slow over their heads, and it is hard to see.
You have come up with every joke imaginable, but the one time you're getting a compliment about it, you're like, what are you talking about?
I know, man.
That's the Dylan Lawson effect. It even affected Sunil there, too, the Dylan Lawson effect.
Dude, let me tell you, if my head's only this high, the clouds are like right here. It's like, okay, the joke is going somewhere over there. You know,
the joke though. I got it. You're all right. You're just so focused on the Yankees. That's all right.
It's just unfortunate I won't make September 23rd because I've got commitments down here. I'm all the way down in Dallas, Texas. You might know most of you guys are up in the New York, New Jersey area, so you're inclined to make it. Where are you, D-Rod?
I'm in Orlando.
Florida. Oh,
yeah. As a matter of fact,
I'm in South Florida.
Hector and Anthony were about 5 miles away from me. They didn't come say hello, and I was like, man, that's so wrong. And Anthony's on the chat.
I'm not in Florida. I wouldn't come. I mean, granted, we're in two of the most miserable states in the South, but still. Yeah. And
it's only 115 degrees here with the heat index, so who cares?
Oh, right? No. I got you. Hold my beer, buddy. I got you beat by about at least 10.
Okay.
Okay, if we're gonna start arguing about who's sweating more, then we're no better than the New York Yankees.
Exactly, I was about to say it.
But we got a few minutes left on here. But let's try to get some thoughts about the series we got coming up, because we won't be back on until Monday where we break down this series. Do we really think the Yankees are going to get swept? Do you think they're going to pull out maybe one, possibly win this series?
Let's break it down. Let's break it down game by game. Who's starting first tonight? Is it Nestor?
I think they pushed. No, tonight's going to be Vasquez because they sent Ramirez down and they pushed Nestor back to tomorrow. So tonight we will have Vasquez versus Luzardo, which does not look very good. And Saturday will be Cortez versus Alcantara, who hasn't been as good this year, but considering his ERA is above 4, he'll throw a no-hitter. And Sunday, we will have Cole versus Perez, who's looking like an absolute machine. So that could be the game to watch is Sunday, where we have Cole pitching. But I do like what Nestor did in his first game back. And I really like what Vasquez has done his first couple of starts, but it's only been sporadic. We don't know if he can do that again.
Yeah.
I can see us winning 2, but I can also see us getting swept. That's how it's been for this team this year. So if you want to go game by game.
I'm with you there. So tonight, I'm going to predict maybe a Gleyber Torres miscue in the field that costs us the game. Okay, I'm going that specific.
Well, they're playing in Miami, so he's got to impress because Miami, they love him, they want him, so he's going to play well.
We're talking about Gleyber freaking Torres. We're talking about Gleyber freaking Torres, not Will Smith. This isn't 1999. Welcome back to Miami.
Well, Miami does love him. They've wanted him for 2 years.
He's going to play well in Miami. He's going to kick ass there. He's the only player that's going to do well.
He might hit a couple into that bar they got in left field.
Yeah,
I'm feeling.
Let's see. Listen, on Monday we'll see how it goes on Monday. We'll come on. We'll talk.
You really don't want my Vic DiPietro impression here, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Get out your typewriters, your etch-a-sketches. Pretend to pay attention. When I ask you questions later on, you're gonna be confused as a motherfucker. Kabish?
They're like, how you didn't get that joke? Right? Exactly.
You ever watch a Vic DiPietro video?
Yeah, of course. I've seen him live.
Yeah, but you talk about embarrassment earlier. How many Vic DiPietro videos have you seen in a typical Yankee season, and compare that to what you see now? He's even embarrassed to show face.
Yep, I agree with you. You. Well, he was in Tuscany the last couple of weeks. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, all right. So breaking it down game by game tonight, Gleyber Torres finds a way to show his true colors. A fielding miscue that cost us the game, so that's an L. Tomorrow it's Torres versus Alcantara. Alcantara is as good as any ace out there. Yankees probably struggle to score runs. Cortez still pitches lights out, probably gives up a run or two. That costs you the game right there. We are putting ourselves in a position to try to salvage game 3, which when we saw the White Sox series, Cole pitched about as good as you can get, but the Yankee offense was MIA.
Yeah,
so
I'm not really. Like
I think Rob. I think Sumi. He just said for tonight's game, not the whole series, but that's all right.
For no reason other than intuition. That's baseball season logic. I see the Marlins winning 2 out of 3. I think the Marlins are hungry. I think they're good. I think they want to prove how good they are. Even though the Yankees are struggling and underwhelming, it still means something to beat the Yankees. And I think the Marlins are looking forward to this series. It's on their home turf, and they're in a playoff race. And I agree. I think they're going to make the playoffs, and I think they're going to at least get to the division round. And I got to say, from a respect point of view, the little piece of me is rooting for the Marlins. That's a team that struggled, they have an identity, and I have no problem, if they get into the division series, the league championship series, and maybe the World Series. But for the reason other than intuition.
I'll just throw one tidbit out there once you're done, Spencer. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure both Yankees and Marlins had the day off yesterday. I'm sure the Marlins team as a whole probably went out for a Meg double feature watching Meg 1 and Meg 2, and they're probably hungry as hell, to your point. The Marlins are this big ass killer shark that's basically out there to devour. That's
what's sad. I applaud Gleyber Torres when he catches a throw from the outfield at second base now. That's how bad he, to Sunil's point. But watch, in Atlanta, he's going to shit the bed. But in Miami, he's going to play well. I bet, he's probably hanging out with because you said they both had the day off. He's hanging out with the Miami Marlins right now more than he is with the Yankees. He's already, in his mind, he's already on that team.
You guys are Florida guys. How come you're not making the trip to Miami? You got to go see the Yankees. Who's going?
I'm going to Tampa. Next week. The Yankees are going to be in Tampa. Because for me, in Orlando, it's faster to go to 3 hours to Miami and try to find parking in Miami. It's worse than New York.
Yeah, It's only 3 hours, not 4 hours.
What do you mean? It's 2 hours. It's an hour and a half from Orlando to Tampa.
T-Rod. Orlando to Miami is closer than Dallas to Austin, and I go there practically every 2 weeks because my kid's down there on campus.
Yeah, but if you had a choice to drive an hour and a half or 3 hours to watch the same team, you drive an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And that's just common sense.
I can't argue with that. If you're gonna
the round trip is the same as one way to Miami, and then you got to pay $50 for parking.
Well, I have
So,
bad
Rob's
experience.
like, what the hell are we talking about here?
No. I live in South Florida. I could easily go to the Marlins Stadium to watch this, but the last time I was there was 2015. I went there for 2 games. We lost 2-1 the first game. Tanaka pitched, Teixeira had a home run. They pinch hit A-Rod in the 9th inning, and he flew out to right. My friend was sitting next to me. He goes, he's going to fly out to right field. Like, why would you put that negative energy out in the air? It's exactly what he did. The second game, we lost like 15-2. Evaldi got lit up. So from that point, I was like, I don't want to go to Miami anymore because that stadium, that area is getting there is a joke. And the Marlins fans, they come out when the Yankees fans show up and the big city teams and they just start acting stupid. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go pay all that money because they drive the prices up when the Yankees are in town. Then the team isn't that good. And I have a feeling the game that I choose to go to is the game that Judge is going to sit. And he's the only player that I really want to go see at this point. Plus, also, I got to work, so I can't go anyway, even if I wanted to. But I'm going to have to end the stream here because we know Hector not Hector, but he won't be there. I'm all well wishes out to Hector, of course, in the Morning Brew. I can't get their name right. The Yankees Morning Brew, but they are just starting. I want to thank everyone that was here that joined us for this impromptu open panel. We had some technical difficulties earlier with Donald. He has apologized he texted. He's like, I'm so sorry about it, but Donald, it's all good. Thank you to everybody that has popped in here. Spencer, D-Rod, Booney Yoga, Mr. Jokes, the comedian himself. Damien was here. Mazza was here. Jonathan, it was great. Thank you to everybody in the chat for being with us the entire time. It was awesome. You guys are the reason why this was able to go from a possible train wreck to a very smooth running show. So I thank you all once again for popping on. You guys are the best. We love you. We will see you all again on Monday. I'll have to take this one for Bobby Taz because he's not here. Wear those pinstripes with pride and play hard.